Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to completely demystify the Chinese hosiery manufacturing landscape. If you're a procurement pro, an e-commerce brand owner, or honestly just someone fascinated by how global supply chains actually work, you are absolutely in the right place. By the end of our time together, we're going to map out the exact roadmap you need to find the exact factory for your highly specific needs as we head into the 2026 sourcing season. Let's get into it.
All right, let's kick things off with a macro statistic that is honestly just staggering. When we look at global production, China is the undisputed heavyweight, producing roughly 1/3 of all the socks in the entire world. Just think about that for a second. 1 in every 3 pairs of socks globally comes from this single market. So for buyers, the real headache isn't finding a supplier. There are literally thousands of them out there. The actual challenge is identifying the specific factory that perfectly aligns with your volume, your quality standards, and your exact technical requirements.
So, here's our roadmap for today. 1. The global hosiery heavyweight. 2. Decoding factory tiers. 3. Match your manufacturer. 4. The language of quality. And 5. The procurement playbook.
All right, Section 1, the global hosiery heavyweight. Now, most of China's production isn't just scattered randomly across the country. It's highly clustered. In manufacturing, geography is destiny. You have Datong and Juji, which is literally known as Sock City. That's your all-around production hub. Then you have Haining, which really leans into high-end exports and sustainable knits like bamboo and recycled polyester. And down south in Guangdong, you have Foshan, specializing in technical and functional precision. But the really wild data point here is the Daitang ecosystem advantage. Sourcing from Juji means you have your yarn dyers, your specialized packaging printers, and logistics providers all sitting within a 5-mile radius. That insane supply chain density cuts your lead times by 7 to 10 days compared to using isolated factories somewhere else.
Moving right along to Section 2, decoding factory tiers. Before you even think about shortlisting suppliers, you have to know exactly what tier you belong in. Think of Tier 1 as your global OEM giants. These are massive, global manufacturing engines requiring huge minimum orders, and they serve top-tier brands like Nike and Adidas. Tier 2 are your specialized performance factories. These guys have moderate minimums and focus heavily on technical knits. Think hiking socks or anti-slip grips. Finally, Tier 3 factories are basically rapid, fast fashion printers built for budget retailers, churning out high-speed, low-cost promotional goods.
This really illustrates the extreme contrast in the market. On one side, Tier 1 demands minimum order quantities, or MOQs, of over 10,000 pairs, but they offer world-class social compliance in return. On the flip side, Tier 3 is highly accessible for budget wholesale, with incredibly low barriers to entry, but you definitely aren't getting that top-tier R&D support. And this is exactly why you must know your tier. If a small boutique brand tries to negotiate with a Tier 1 giant, they are literally just going to get ignored.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, match your manufacturer.
Now that we know the tiers, let's play matchmaker with the top-ranked players for 2026. If you're an Amazon or Shopify seller who desperately needs fast turnaround and agility, your match is Yisheng Hosiery in Datong, with MOQs starting right around 500 to 1,000 pairs. But if you're a medical supply brand needing something highly specific, like a copper-infused knit, you need to head straight to Foshan Nanhai Okai socks, where their key advantage is deep technical expertise.
Let's break down the massive players a bit more. Joseon Group offers full R&D support and operates huge bases not just in China, but in Vietnam too. They are built for top-tier international sports brands, demand strict compliance, and are largely inaccessible to small buyers. Then you've got Langshaw, arguably one of the most recognizable names in Chinese textiles. They completely dominate the high-volume, standard design market where price per unit is the absolute most important KPI. If you just want cheap, standard cotton socks in massive bulk, Langshaw is your target.
But what if you aren't doing mass market? We'll look at our niche specialists. Haining Superline has invested heavily in sustainable manufacturing, featuring GRS, that's Global Recycled Standard, certified yarns and organic blends. Meanwhile, Foshan Nanhai Okai is doing rigorous elastic tension testing for medical compression wear. If your buyers are eco-conscious or require highly specialized yoga grip socks, these are the facilities that fully justify a slightly higher price point through their deep technical knowledge.
Okay, let's shift gears to Section 4, the language of quality.
To unlock the best from those specialized factories, you have to speak their language. And as an insider, knowing that needle count dictates the fineness and density of your knit is the absolute key to commanding respect from your supplier. This is your primary vocabulary for quality. It literally refers to the number of needles around the cylinder of a knitting machine.
If you just email a factory asking for a high-quality sock, they honestly won't really know what you mean.
Let's look at how this scales in the real world. If you're ordering 96N to 108N, you're getting thick, rugged socks meant for heavy work boots. Move up to 144N and you have your standard casual socks with solid durability. 168N is that finer gauge used for most branded athletic wear. And 200N, that is your premium, high-definition pattern and dress sock territory. The crucial takeaway here is that you must map your exact product use case directly to these specific numbers before you ever request a quote.
Finally, Section 5, the Procurement Playbook. Let's take all this strategic data and turn it into an actionable step-by-step workflow for your 2026 order to eliminate the guesswork. Step 1 is your tech pack, defining your exact material blend, your needle count, and size charts. Step 2 is sampling. And it's actually fantastic to see that many factories in 2026 are now offering 3D digital samples before physical knitting to save you a ton of time. Step 3 is lab testing for things like color fastness and shrinkage. And Step 4 is quality inspection, where you hire a third party to verify the goods before they ever leave the factory floor.
Embedded right within that playbook is compliance. For brand owners and bulk buyers, ensuring the factory holds a valid BSCI or SETIX audit for ethical labor is just non-negotiable. And importantly, if you're importing into Europe, securing that OKAO-TEX Standard 100 certification to prove no harmful chemicals were used in the dyeing process is an absolute must. Seriously, do not skip this step.
So we always get this question. It's a major buyer pain point. Can I find factories to do under 100 pairs? The hard reality is, authentic factories rarely go under 500 pairs per color or size. The machine setup times are just too extensive. Literally threading the yarn takes time. So for ultra-low volume, you're going to need to pivot away from direct factories and look toward wholesale traders on platforms like AliExpress or specialized digital print-on-demand providers.
Another huge question we get: lead times. Typically, you're looking at 30 to 45 days after you approve that physical sample. But consider this your heavy warning. The pre-Chinese New Year rush between November and January can absolutely devastate your supply chain, extending lead times well past 60 days. You really have to plan your Q1 inventory in Q3 of the previous year.
Let's wrap up the playbook with a few insider pro tips. To verify if someone is a real factory and not just a middleman, check their Chinese business license for the specific characters that mean manufacturing or production. Even better, ask for a live video walkthrough of their knitting workshop and linking room. Finally, a massive trend for 2026, shipping. Many buyers are moving toward DDP, or delivered duty paid, for smaller, less than container load shipments to completely simplify the customs process. These checks are exactly what separate the seasoned procurement experts from the novices.
As you head into the 2026 season, I want to leave you with one final thought. Are you just blindly chasing the lowest price per unit, or are you strategically sourcing for an ecosystem advantage? Because as we've seen today, choosing the right tier, speaking the correct technical language, and leveraging the right regional clusters will entirely dictate the operational success of your brand. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy sourcing.